We're going to talk about crumbs from the table. Crumbs from the table. Crumbs are the small pieces of food that fall down as you eat. As you eat, there are some small pieces of food here and there that fall down as you eat. As you bite something, some pieces drop down. Some food scattered around your table. This is what we are calling crumbs. Crumbs from the table. Crumbs from the master's table. And we are going to examine a story of a woman who because of humility and endurance and persistence, compelled Jesus to heal her daughter. The woman's decision of Christ must come from a background of some knowledge. She must have been acquainted with Jesus' dealings. This woman must have heard about what Jesus went around doing. She must be aware of Jesus' deeds and of all of his moves. That's why she followed him for some assistance. She was expecting positive results from him. And she did not go to the disciples. She went straight to Jesus. She did not ask one of the disciples to plead for her when she kept quiet. She did not request one of the disciples to plead for her to Jesus as she sat back. No. She went straight to Jesus. She came straight and went straight to Jesus. Stories about Jesus healing had reached her. Stories about feeding multitudes were going round. Stories about rebuking the storm had been circulated. Stories about restoration and restoring sight to many people had gone around. So she had heard about what Jesus had been doing. That's why she followed him. She may have heard of Jesus defending the victimized. She may have heard of the disciples sending children away when they came to Jesus. She could have realized that they were not the best way to Jesus. We have not only heard of Jesus' miracles, but we have seen them as they happen to people we know. We may not only have heard of what Jesus is doing, but we have witnessed many of his works as they happen to many people that we know. We have endless lists of answered prayers and requests. When bigger challenges come, we allow helplessness to trap us. When an answer is delayed, helplessness eats up our lives. We get tired of prayer and we give up on prayer. And we get tired of waiting for God's time. We are tired of God's timing and start looking for solutions elsewhere and in different ways from different sources. We feel that we have waited for long for the answer. You feel that you have waited for very many years before God answers you. You need to be acquainted with Jesus' needs, his power, and his methods of working. You need to know how he works. You need to be acquainted by how he deals with his people. You need to know Jesus and his works. You need to understand how God works in our lives. It must have been a terrible demon that caused the woman stress and trauma. Her child had suffered for very many years. Her daughter had suffered for quite some time. She may have tried many other doctors and many medications to no avail. She lived in Phoenicia, that is an area of Tyre, which is a port city. She was surrounded by pagan beliefs about other gods and goddesses. We don't know for how long she had waited for Jesus to come, but as soon as she heard about him, she went straight to him. She knew Jesus had power to cast out demons. Her knowledge about Jesus and what he was doing moved her to him. Jesus kept quiet, and the disciples urged him to send her away. As she cried and begged Jesus, the disciples heard that she was making noise. So they begged Jesus to send this woman away, because she had already become a nuisance to them. We don't know for how long Jesus kept quiet, but the silence was long enough for the disciples to think that he was not interested in her case. The man was talking, and Jesus was keeping quiet, and the silence was long enough to make the disciples think that Jesus is not ready to listen to this woman. So they began to plead with him to send her away. Jesus knew the attitude of the disciples. He had observed the faith of the woman and her determination. You see, in our prayer life, God knows our level of endurance, and He wants to teach us some lessons, even if the cost is very painful. You see, God knows our level of endurance. That's why we may think that He is keeping quiet, but He wants to test our level of endurance, and He wants to teach us some good lessons. Even if the cost of learning the lessons is very painful, He wants to teach us these lessons anyway. And there are still obstacles as we cry and as we try to come up to Jesus. There are still very many other obstacles. Many will offer us solutions. Many will give us advices about who Jesus is. But remain focused on Jesus. You will get very many advices. You will fall sick and you will be advised on what to do. You will lose your job and you will be advised what to do. You will be given many solutions, but just focus on Jesus the way the woman focused on Jesus. Even if the reward is merely a crumb from the master's table, there will be sufficient for our needs. You may pray for 30 years, and the reward may be a crumb, a small piece of bread. The reward of those prayers may be a small crumb, but as long as it is from the master, it will be sufficient for your needs. It is interesting. Even the dogs eat from the crumbs from our tables. Some people judge others by their past lives and backgrounds and consider them unfit for blessings. You may know a person for some time, and you may have written him or her off from your mind. You may know how she has been living. You know her past life. You know her past deeds. And so, by what you know, you consider them unfit for God's blessings. You consider them unfit for God's help. You consider them unfit for God's assistance. I mean, who are you to do that? If these people were so bad the way you think, God would have killed them. But they are still living, meaning that God has a good reason for them to live, and He wants to bless them. So keep away from judging and telling God on how to do with people. No. Jesus judges us by our faith in Him and grants us the desires of our hearts. Jesus sees all of us as his children and grants us the desires of our hearts. And what touches us is of great concern to him. Since we are his children and he cares for us, whatever befalls on us, whatever falls on us, whatever disturbs us is of great concern to him. He sees us as worthy in his sight. Now, when Jesus did not answer, the woman did not get angry, but she continued waiting for his response. She persisted. Actually, she persisted because she knew healing could only come from him. She persisted because even if she went away, even if she got angry, she could not help herself. She could not treat the daughter. She could not solve her problem. She had sought the medication from many doctors, but nothing came out. She had sought help from many other people, but nothing came out. So even if she got angry, the problem would still remain. So she persisted on talking to Jesus. She persisted on him and waited for his response. Jesus actually responded in a very provoking manner. She responded in a very rude manner, in a very rude way. The woman was not shocked or discouraged by Jesus' response. She was humbled by Jesus' words and persistence in prayer. She persisted in praying, although Jesus was rudely answering her. She accepted her status. She understood where she was coming from. She understood her condition. And with meekness, she persisted in prayer. Jesus provokes her the more. Many might have given up in this condition without of anger. Many would have responded in the same measure of Jesus' statement. The unkind words did not annoy this woman. The unkind words from Jesus did not annoy this mother. She had an opportunity which she could not afford to lose. And she had a mission to accomplish. The relationship between Jesus and the Gentiles did not even shock her faith in him. She worshipped instead of complaining. Things were getting tough. This was keeping quiet. And when he answers in a rude way. He answers in a provoking manner. But no, she still worshipped instead of complaining. How many times have you complained at the answer God gives you? You persist in prayer and Jesus answers in a way that provokes you. What do? You begin complaining, you begin making noise, you begin cursing God, you even commit suicide, you begin doing every other thing. You get angry with God because he has answered you the way you did not expect. Instead, this woman worshipped quietly without any complaint. Read verse 27. Even the dogs eat the crumbs from the master's table. She accepted any level of humanity. She accepted any level of humanity that Jesus assigned her. Now listen, God's silence is not God's rejection. When God has kept quiet on your prayers for 20 years, it's not a sign that he has rejected you. It's not a sign that he does not hear you. When he has kept quiet, it's not a sign that he does not care for you. It's not a sign that you have been cast. It's not a sign that you cannot be helped. It's not a sign that you are unfit for his blessings. No. Knowing whom we are praying to, we should never give up. Keep doing your best and leave the rest to God. Do what you're supposed to do. Leave the rest to him. Have faith that he will respond in time. Just have faith. And believe that He will respond when his time comes. Your business is to pray. Just have faith and believe that he will respond. Actually, he must respond. He will respond some way, sometime. Just have faith in him. God is never early or late. He's always on time. You may have prayed for 40 years. To you is late, but to him is on time. That's funny now. You think you are late. You have prayed for a job. 40 years, the job is not coming. People have been employed. People have become rich. People have bought cars. People have got married. People have got everything. You are still praying. People have 3 children. You still have none. People have very flashing jobs. You are still tamacking and knocking in offices. God has not answered your prayer. You are looking for a partner. You are still texting people here and there. You have not gotten one. People are enjoying their marriage. You are still single. You are still praying. God has not answered your prayer. Wow. Keep doing your best and leave the rest to him. Have faith that he will respond in time. He's never late. Oh, thank you, Jesus. He will respond in time. He's never early. He's never late. Just have faith that one day he will respond, and he will respond positively, and he will respond in good time. God is never late or never early. He was on time for Hannah. He was on time when the storm arose in the sea. He was on time for this woman. He was on time to die for us. He was on time to save us. He was on time to create us. He was on time to help us. So even in your trouble, in your cry, in your prayer, he will answer it on time. Trust that he'll be on time for you and me. He'll be on time even to come for us, to take us to heaven. He will come on time. God's silence does not mean a no. His silence is not saying a no. You see, when you talk to a person and he keeps quiet, you understand that he or she has said no. You may tell the person, will you come with me? And the person keeps quiet. Will you come with me? The silence means a no. But silence from God does not mean a no. In most cases, it is a test of faith. His silence is not to say no. But a human silence means no. But God's silence means something else. It may be a test of your faith or something else that you don't understand. So leave it to him. Your business is to pray. Your work is to talk to him. Your work is to do what you're supposed to do. Leave the rest to him. Don't help him do his work. Don't teach him how to do his work. Don't dictate him how he should help you. Don't dictate him how good he should do with you. No. Your work is to pray and keep quiet. Leave the rest to him. He's never late, he's never early. He's never wrong. He will answer you in your good time, in his good time. It could be a lesson to a neighbor. His silence could be a lesson not to you, but to a neighbor. His silence could be a protection from some unseen danger. Our desires may not be in harmony with his will. That's why he's keeping quiet. Can you check whether what you desire is in harmony with his will? What you desire should be in line with his will. Otherwise, you will experience some silence from him. When challenges come, we may weep, we may cry, and we may question, but remain focused on him. Don't question God, because he does no wrong. He's never wrong, so don't question him. Don't question God on anything. because he's never wrong. Don't question him. Completely don't question him. Because you may mess yourself up as you question him. He's never wrong. You only question someone who has done wrong. You can't question when God does no wrong. You can't question him, because you'll be committing a very big mistake. Because there are so many things that you don't understand. So how can you question God? You can only question him when you understand everything and when you understand his ways. But as long as you don't understand how he does his methods of work, you can't question him. You have no room to question him. Completely you can't question him. Our humility is more appealing to God than our anger. Our humility towards in this life and towards the way he deals with us is very important. Our humility to him is very important. No matter the situation, the silence of God is always for our good. His silence is always for our best. No matter the situation, no matter how long, his silence to our requests, his silence to our prayers is always positive and is always meant to do us good. The book of Romans chapter 8 verse 20 tells us that all things work for good for those who love God. All things, whether good or bad, work for good to those who love God. In the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 13 says that God cannot allow you to be tempted beyond measure or beyond what you can bear. He provides a way to stand firm, and he provides a way to escape when things get very much hot. Jesus knew the faith of this woman. That's why he decided to test her. He knew her faith. He knew what had brought her to him. And so she decided to test the faith. Unless your faith is tested, it is fake. God has good plans for you and me. God has no bad plans for anybody. He has only good plans for us, for you and me. The test of today will not bring you to despair. The test should not bring you to despair. Or the test should not make you despair. You can have faith and provide a way to endure. Now, the woman's faith or the woman's faith request now is granted. Jesus finally grants the request of this woman. The daughter was healed because of her mother's faith. Jesus did not go to the house to heal the daughter. She trusted Jesus to do it. The daughter was at home, they were somewhere else, and the woman trusted that Jesus being here does not need to go up to my house, but he will do something and my daughter will be healed. And that is what happened actually. She only informed Jesus of the situation and asked for his mercy. Just inform Jesus on what you are going through. Just tell Jesus on what you are facing. Just inform him on what is disturbing you. Leave the rest for him, because he knows how to handle it. Nothing diverted her attention from the master. She endured to the end. Although the response came slowly, she endured. It was a matter of life and death. Jesus had to heal the daughter or she dies. It was a life and death matter, but she endured it anyway. Humility and faith brought the healing. The way this woman humbled, the way she was meek, brought healing to her daughter. Your situation seems helpless as at now. Regardless of the nature, Jesus gives hope and restores life. Come to him in faith and he will restore you. Our confidence should only be built in God. If we ask anything in His name, He hears us and He grants our requests. Crumbs from the table. The woman being a Gentile was healed by Jesus being a Jew. She ate from the crumbs, and the crumb was sufficient in her life. You may pray and talk to God for quite some time. God may seem to be keeping quiet. God may not have answered you so far. But even if you receive a crumb, it will be sufficient in your life. And don't expect God to tell you how it will work for you. Don't expect Him to narrate to you on how He's dealing with you tomorrow. No. Your work is to pray and tell Him what you want. The rest will come from Him in His good time. Crumbs from the table. Father in heaven, thank you for giving us this crumb. We are sure that it is enough for our lives. We have been talking to you, we have been praying, and you have not already answered our prayers. We are trusting that you will do it in your good time. Thank you for hearing us. Thank you for loving us. So we pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.